I am not used to a warm atmosphere. I'm used to a hostile one. I will be embarrassed with this warm welcoming. Thank you very much. I would thank, of course, the Ireland-Palestinian Solidarity Campaign. I want to thank all of you. As a Palestinian, we cannot oppose the dream of any people to feel safe. We cannot negotiate the dream of a group of Jewish or even Zionists to argue with them about their feeling or about their need to feel safe and to live within a safe country. We cannot negotiate dreams of any person or of any people. But the problem when this dream clashes with others' reality. Here is the problem. And here is our, as Palestinians, our argument, I will put it in this kind discourse in the beginning of my speech, with Zionism. You convinced yourself as Zionist that you came to an empty land, and it was not empty. It is not empty. And there was no democratic way to fulfill your dream, to have a Jewish state. It was from the beginning so clear that in order for you to still believe that you are coming to an empty place, you should implement this ideology of an empty place. You should empty the place. You should ethnically cleansing Palestine. And after the ethnic cleansing, you should tame the remaining 15% of the Palestinians whom you didn't expel. So at the beginning, the concept of Jewish state is a colonialist concept. It is not the matter of practices. It is not the matter of laws. It is the matter of concept. You are coming to my homeland. You are coming to me, and you want to implement this notion of Jewish state, but I am there. We are the Palestinians. We are human beings. We live within our homeland. We live within Palestine. And it was the violence of the project is not just the ethnic cleansing which happened in 1948. It's the insistence of the Israelis to continue deny our existence, even deny the existence of the 15%, now 1,200,000 Palestinians, whom Israel didn't expel. It is this psychological, it's not just a matter of politics. Really, we live beside the Israelis. We cannot understand how they manage, how they succeeded, how they still succeed not to kill a Palestinian every 3.6 days, according to Amnesty. Not to kill children of 10 years and 12 years, convincing themselves that the children, 10 years old, Palestinian children, is risking a soldier with a gun. It is their ability, really, to convince themselves that we don't exist. We in Nazareth, in Haifa, which continue to live within the few villages and towns which Israel didn't destroy in 1948. It's a psychological mechanism so successful to to deny us, not to see us, not to study our history in their schools. Of course, also to deny us from studying our history in the Arab schools. Although we pay taxes to the Ministry of Education, we pay taxes in order to study how inferior we are, that in order to internalize a concept of guests. We are guests. We are not indigenous, of course not citizens, but sometimes we are the invaders. The answer of the Jewish case to our questions in the parliament, why you still confiscating our land? Till now, you confiscated 97.5% of the land. Till 1948, as Lubna said, you controlled 72% of our ownership of our land, but you continued till now, till 2018. Why you want to confiscate more than 87.5%? Now we live above 2%, 2.3, accurate number, 2.3 of our land. So Nakba, in this meaning, Nakba is not a historical event. It's an ongoing process. An ongoing process even towards those whom Israel imposed its citizenship upon them. We didn't ask this citizenship, to remember. We didn't ask Israel to give us this citizenship. It was Israel expelled 85% and imposed its citizenship upon the remaining in an ambition to tame us. Not to kill us, not to expel us, but to tame us. This was part of the Zionist project, to tame those whom we didn't expel. They need us as cheap labor. And they thought, yeah, she can recreate our identity. She can reformulate our identity, and she identify us, give us the identity, the label of Arab Israelis. We are not Palestinians in the formal Israeli discourse. The minute even you define yourself as a Palestinian, you are disloyal. So the project was, okay, we expelled your people. Now, from now on, we will give you another identity. We will cut you from your people, from your struggle, from your history, and we will start to define yourself as Arab Israelis. So it's not a direct now violence. We don't have tanks which kill us as Israel do to our people in Gaza and in the West Bank, but Judaizing, even the landscape, rewrite our history, rewrite and control the historical textbook, and rename the landscape and the geography. And when we ask them in the Knesset, I will return back to my idea, why you insist to still confiscating our land? We live now upon 2.3%. The answer we got is, because you are invaders. This is a Jewish state. How come you ask us why? The answer is a Jewish state. So the concept of Jewish state, they understand it. They understand that in order to be Jewish, you must be racist. And this balance between a Jewish and democratic state is just for international consumption. Inside the Knesset, within the Israeli discourse, Jewish state, Jewish values is much more important than democratic values. And the minute they contradict, and all the way they contradict, the minute they contradict, we will give Jewish values preference on the expense of democratic values. But we talk a lot about how Israel oppress us, kill us, and actually about the Israeli success till now. And we should recognize this Israeli success. But there is a big failure. One indication of this failure that me, for example, which was supposed to be the indicator of the Israeli democracy, is coming to talk about the Israeli apartheid and the Israeli oppression. The most important failure, and we must talk about the failures of the Israelis, because from the beginning, from the morning, we are talking about the success of the Israelis. The important failure of the Zionist project, that the Israelis, Zionist project, didn't succeed to divide the Palestinian. In the consciousness, in our vision, shouldn't divide between those whom Israel give them its citizenship and those who are living within Gaza. Even those who are supposed to live within a comfortable situation, without tanks, without military occupation, with better economic life, and I will talk about this. Even us, which were supposed to be the most weak part of our society, is now appealing to Zionism, and maybe, and ironically, this vision to give alternative, not just to talk about settler colonialism, we must give an alternative. And this would embarrass Israel much more than, not much more, more than talking about its settler colonialism. To suggest the Israelis, because we don't know yet the name of the state, to suggest the Israelis another vision, democratic vision. And ironically, maybe, those who have now this clear voice of suggesting other political vision, alternative to Zionism, alternative to settler colonialism, is those whom Israel has given, imposing them its citizenship. The 1,200,000 Palestinians within the historic Palestine. Those who compose 18% of the society within these borders. And I will return back to this point. So there is no violent and oppressive answer to the Palestinian issue, to the Palestinian oppression. We cannot surrender. And we must learn from the spirit of Gaza. Gaza, after 11 years under the siege, give us an example of Sumud, to stand up, to struggle against its destiny, oppression, and to tell us that oppression is not a destiny. So we must learn from Gaza now. I will not speak about the settler colonialism project because Lubna and those who precede me did this very well. I will speak about the changes within Israel because we really neglect the changes during the last 18 years. And why 18 years? Because most of the political analysis talk about a new Israel after the second intifada. A new Israel after the siege, the wall, and the political coordination between the Palestinian Authority and Israel. Why these three strategies? Because these are the three strategies which enable Israel not just to control the Palestinians, but not to pay the price of the oppression, not to pay the price of the control. And this is a huge difference between Israel before 2000 and Israel after 2000 because of Oslo. A huge difference, huge political and psychological effects upon the Israeli society after Oslo. Because what Oslo did, one major fatal strategic mistake to enable Israel to oppress the Palestinians without paying a price. We stopped to be part of the agenda. We stopped as a Palestinian. The Palestinian issue stopped to be part of the Israeli agenda. The last 3 election campaigns in Israel, the topic, what to do with Jerusalem, what to do with Gaza, what to do with the West Bank, what to do with the Palestinians, was not mentioned within the election campaign. They talk about the problem of the middle class, housing problems, economic problems. We stopped to be a burden. We stopped as Palestinians to be a problem within Israel. And now Israel is shifting from managing the crisis towards solving the crisis. إدارة حل الصراع, solving the crisis. There's no crisis. Before 2008, there was questions, arguments, discussions within Israel, what to do with this and what to do with that, and how to manage with the West Bank. Now there is no question. Even the discourse of two-state solution, this misleading concept of two-state solution, has disappeared. And they have the wall, racist wall. The result of the racist wall that now the 3.5 million Palestinians are not just behind the wall, they are behind the Israeli consciousness. And the 2 million of Gaza are behind the Israeli consciousness. Even with the Palestinians within Israel, there are 35 Palestinian villages in the Negev, south of historic Palestine, which are unrecognized villages. They don't exist on the Israeli maps. And now, 2018, Israel wants to expel. I'm not talking about the West Bank. I am talking about citizens. Israel wants to expel 30,000 Palestinians from the Negev, destroying 5 Palestinian villages who we control 2% from our land. So still, it is a struggle about land. But it is not so challenging in Israel, because Israel feel now that the struggle is less about geography and more about identity, and I will explain that. We said that Israel is not a normal state. It is not a state, it's a tool for a colonial project. There is a colonial project, and the state is a tool. Because of that, as Lubna said, there is no matching between citizenship and nationality. And this is not the whole story. Israel is a state for part of the citizens, but it is also a state for those who are not citizens at all. Israel has passed just before 1 week Israel as a national state for the Jews, saying that I am a state for any Jews in the world. So it's so abnormal. You are a state for part of the citizens, and you are a state for those who are not citizens at all. Israel has no constitution. Israel has passed more than 100 racist laws. We should talk about these laws. We should talk about the routine, the Israeli routine, how this project, the practice of this project within its routine within its daily routine. Not just about the drama, crimes, war crimes, crimes against humanity. Okay, Israel would answer us. I defend myself from ISIS, Hamas, terrorists, Islam, terrorism. Okay, what about your routine? What about the laws you are passing when it's so calm, when these laws talk about your relation with the citizens? In Israel, again, 100 racist laws. One law, after confiscating 85% of our law, acceptance committee law, prohibiting the Palestinian citizens from living within more than 570 community villages. By law. This law was not passed during the 50s, not during the 60s. It was passed 2011. It's pure apartheid law. And the justification that I am the indigenous, and these more than 570 community villages has been built upon my own confiscated land. The justification within the law because of harming the social harmony, if we affect the social harmony of these community villages. And these community villages control more than 60% of the 60% of the land. Again, the land which Israel has confiscated from the Palestinians. But again, we should talk about what is changing within Israel. And we can indicate two major changing. I mentioned one, moving from crisis management to crisis solution. A lot of laws now has laws of annexation. Okay, the Palestinians don't want to sign any peace process which they accept the occupation. I will pass with no noise behind the international eyes. I will pass laws which annex regions from the West Bank. And another law which implement the Israeli law upon settlers. This law was implemented 6 months ago. And no one is talking about this. Why to talk about two states? But Israel now already, what's the meaning of talking about two states? Israel is passing laws. Israel is treating itself as a sovereign. In reality, it is a sovereign, passing laws to steal. For the first time, the Israeli court has justified stealing Palestinian private land. No, not the court, a law, because the court didn't accept. The court has nothing, has no, the Israeli law allow expanding settlements upon public, it's Palestinian and public land within the West Bank, but prevented establishing settlements upon private land. Public land is a Palestinian land, but the Israeli court system has justified this. Because the Israeli said, don't build settlements, these very small settlements upon private land, Israel has passed a law. Israel has an answer for everything, and she will pass anything, any law. This is the meaning of democracy in Israel. Democracy in Israel means the role of the majority, no human rights. You will not find a law in Israel talking about equality. You will not find a law within the legal Israeli system talking about human rights. This is the time also to talk about this. Because this is the utopia, this is the good Israel. Okay, maybe the Palestinians force us to kill them. Force us to kill them. Okay, what about these laws? So this is crisis solution. And the other major change is the shift from racist situation to a fascist situation, to a semi-fascist situation. We cannot talk really now about racist state. With these laws, we must start talking about the fascist state and talking about democracy. That in Israel, democracy is just the role of the majority. And if the majority are racist, democracy in Israel is a racist concept. In Israel, 11% of the Israeli society define democracy as equality. 11%. It is the Israeli Index of Democracy 2017. 11% from the Israeli society thinks that democracy is something to do with equality. For them, democracy is the role of the majority and a national issue. National, يعني Jewish, يعني Zionist issue. And this, I will give you some example, and this is some very minor, tiny analysis within the Israeli media and the Israeli very left-wing researchers who compare between the situation in Israel and the situation in Germany during the 30s. طيب. اوكي خلاص 5 minutes يعني ما عندنا شو وقت لهذا خلاص. Okay. I will summarize. I would so the shift within the legal Israeli system after 2007, 2008 to create a new system of loyalty laws. It is not enough to create a category of land laws in order to justify confiscation, exclusive towns and city for the Jews, but another category under the concept of loyalty laws. The meaning of this category that you, as a citizen or an organization, should recognize Israel as a Jewish and democratic state. And if you have any other idea, it is a law. These are laws which judge you, which censorship your views, your attitudes. And this is one aspect of fascism. And this category of laws, about 8 laws, new, just they started passing these laws in 2010, 2011, and the government would punish any organization which, for example, enters school in order to talk about the practices of the Israeli army. You should not enter schools, even if you are illegal registered organization, like Shovrim Shtika, breaking the silence. You cannot enter schools, not in order to convince pupils not to serve in the army. No, breaking the silence is an organization which not delegitimate serving in the army. They just talk about their experience in the Israeli army. And they passed a special law for this organization. Loyalty is a fascist concept, and Israel, loyalty is a very main and important concept within the Israeli political scene. And this shift is because, partially because of the changing within the Israeli elites. In 2002, 3% from the army officials were settlers and extreme religious. 3%, 2003. 2016, 30% of the Israeli army are settlers. So we should start also to talk about the changing, as I said, within the Israeli society. Settlers and extreme religious is now taking the position of the classical liberal racist elites. Now, I will move. Now, what we should also learn from these laws regarding loyalty is a crisis of legitimacy. We can talk about a huge Israeli success for this project as an oppressive project, but a crisis of legitimacy for the concept of Jewish state. And this is why Israel needs these new laws. And this is why talking about BDS, talking about Israel as a colonialist settler project is effective, because Israel feels that it needs legitimacy. Israel needs legitimacy. And it was now more easy to delegitimate this colonialist project, to talk more about the colonialist basics of Israel. And these laws are an indication of the weakness, of the tension of Israel billions, and you will hear this from Omar, Israel, the Strategic Affairs Ministry, invest millions of dollars against BDS, millions of efforts against BDS, and defining our vision, the Palestinian vision, the citizens, my party, National Democratic Assembly, vision of Israel as a state for all of its citizens as a strategic threat. We should ask ourselves not what Israel do to the Palestinian, but what challenging Israel. What kind of practices, what kind of struggle Israel would embarrass Israel, would weaken Israel? The answer lies everything Israel defined as a strategic threat. This is the right struggle. Israel defined our struggle, the Palestinian citizens, to have the state as a state for all of its citizenship as a strategic threat. Look how absurd this is. We are the only, in all the Knesset, there is no one party which proposed alternative for Zionists. Just one party with 3 seats. 3 from 120 seats. One party, and you ask about how powerful are anti-Zionists in Israel, the Jewish anti-Zionists. They cannot reach the election threshold of 3.2%. And because of that, the BDS is a strategic threat. The popular resistance of Gaza is a strategic threat, and those within us, this was the definition of Diskin, just 2 minutes. This was a definition of Diskin, the head of the Israeli intelligence, saying that anyone who don't recognize Israel as a strategic and democratic state is a strategic threat. Because of that, and I will finish with this, July 2016, it is important for me to pass to you the feeling how Israel is feeling uncomfortable with this discourse of decolonization. We don't have the vision to throw the Israelis to the sea. And it was more convenient to Israel to counter our discourse and to to portray us as terrorists. But the minute you suggest to the Israelis a so human, so democratic vision, and again we should stress, it is a historical compromise for me as a Palestinian. For me, it is a historical compromise to say to the colonialist, I want to decolonize you, and then I accept you in my homeland. This, it is not 100% justice. It is a historical compromise. It is a compromise. You came to my homeland. You expel my people. You are continuing to humiliate me and to kill my people in Gaza. And you want to delete my history, to delete my personality. You want me to thank you every day because you didn't expel me in 1948. Decolonizing you is a compromise that I suggest you. And because this concept challenging to Israel, Israel has passed this law saying anyone in the Knesset who have a democratic vision, democracy in Israel is a strategic threat. Not ISIS, not Hamas, not terrorism, of course. Democracy is a strategic threat. 2016, they said we can expel permanently any Knesset member, even if he has been elected by half million Palestinians. I have been elected, and my colleagues in the joint list, we have been elected by 500,000 Palestinians. 80 Knesset members can expel us within this democratic state. Thank you.